Hey everyone, and welcome to The Talks, the new MCHF podcast and your new go-to for everything happening within the college.
That's right. Whether it's a school event, student well-being, interviews with teachers and students, or just some fun topics, we have it all covered.
I'm Jaden, the college vice captain.
And I'm Gabriella, a Year 11 student. And together we are here to introduce to you our first ever episode, High Stakes.
In this episode, we're going to dive into the world of study habits, exams, and everything that comes with the pressure of just being a student, learning to find balance and success.
Today we'll be chatting with two ex-students who have been through it all, the late night cramming, the stress, but ultimately coming out on top.
So whether you're a last-minute crammer,
A super organized planner,
or someone that is just here for advice, we've got you covered.
I would like to introduce Simon and Hannah to the show.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having Hannah and I on this show. I'm Simon. I was the college captain last year and I received a 96 ATAR.
Hi everyone, it's Hannah. Thank you for having me on the show. I was also college captain alongside Simon and I received 98.15 in the HSC.
Thanks, guys. Let's get straight into it. Our first question for both of you is, can you tell us a bit about your personal academic growth and journey over time?
Sure. So for me, school was always something I enjoyed. I always liked to push myself and see how far I could go. I never stressed, not one. One of my goals was to do good in the HSC and get school captain. And so, yeah, it was just studying, enjoying life, having balance and doing my best.
Lovely to hear from you, Hannah. What about you, Simon?
Well, I think like Hannah said, I always loved school. I love turning up. I love seeing my teachers. I love seeing my friends. And to be honest, it kind of hit me, I don't know if for Hannah, but it really hit me when I was announced as school captain. I felt like it wasn't a pressure, but it was just, I thought, hey, I must be good at what I'm doing. So I really wanted to push myself and do well in the HSC. Like it was always an ultimate goal when I entered, year 11. And yeah, that's how when I found out that, I could be an academic weapon.
So you both spoke about goals. Could you tell us how you guys managed your goals and what sort of goals you had put into place?
Yeah, so I always write down my goals just to always keep me accountable for my actions and for what I'm doing. So I wrote down my goals, and to be honest, my goal was only a 90 plus ATAR. It wasn't anything above 95. It was nothing drastic, but I managed my goals by, staying on top of them and always trying my best and remembering that, these are the goals in place. My family didn't really put any pressure on me. They were very supportive, and my friends even. I'm the one that put it on myself. I just wanted to do well for myself and for what I thought I could do. So I just studied hard, worked out my goals, and every day I'd look at them when I was studying. So yeah.
Yeah, even what Simon said, I think there was no pressure externally. I think it came internally. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And even like Simon, writing it down helps because it's in front of you. You've got to focus on it. And I was like Simon as well. Even if it was 90.00, I was happy with that. I just wanted it in the 90s. Yeah, I agree. Having it written down and holding yourself accountable and not having external pressure really helps because you don't feel stressed doing it. You enjoy the process, which is definitely what happened.
Yeah, so we heard you say that both of you have the same thing with no stress because you stayed on top of things. So what was your study routine like? Like how many hours did you study a day, and did you actually study every day?
So it wasn't necessarily studying every day. If I knew I had an assessment coming up, then definitely a week or two prior, I was heads down and focused. When it came to the trials and HSC, I made a study schedule. So from 5 o'clock onwards to 10:30, I had it planned out. 1 hour for multiple choice in PDH and then another hour legal multiple choice. So I would split up my schedule, but I wouldn't really necessarily say how many hours I studied. It just depended if I had an assessment coming up. But yeah, definitely in the afternoon, I kind of from 5 to 10:30, I would study. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Hannah, I had a study schedule. It wasn't necessarily about hours. It was just prioritizing what needed to be done at the time. So I remember leading up to trials, I took trials as a literally practice run. So whatever I found didn't work there, I switched it up for the HSC. So one day I do, like Hannah said, I do multiple choice and I just smash it out because multiple choice, a lot of students can go wrong in multiple choice. And I knew it was my weakness because I love to second guess myself. So I just thought I needed to work on multiple choice and I knew that was my weakness. So I'd focus one day on that with different subjects. And then I'd, just study for other subjects every other day. But it wouldn't be hours. It was more just the little increments of important study because people can say that they studied for over 3 hours, 4 hours. But how much productive study are they doing is another question.
Yeah.
So I like to break it down into little increments, and always I loved enjoying my social life. You know, I'd always go out with my friends. You know, Hannah's one of them.
Yeah.
We'd always go out. I'd go to church. I'd make time for other people. And it's what you need, because your mental health is so important in these
100%.
adolescent years, and especially in year 12 when you feel like the world is on your shoulders. So yeah.
100%.
So, speaking about studying, did you guys have any specific techniques or methods that you actually found helpful when studying?
Yeah, I found the traffic light system so important. So for people that aren't in year 11 or 12 and they're younger grades, we've got a syllabus. And the syllabus is so important because everything in the exam derives from the syllabus. So I'd go through my syllabus and I'd treat it like the teachers he would say as my Bible. I'd read it every day and I'd look over it. And what I'd do is I'd highlight green for the things I knew perfectly. Yellow for the things like, yeah, I know, but maybe I can add a bit more evidence to it. Red is like, I'm lost. I don't know anything. And your ultimate goal for every subject is to get the reds to the yellows to the greens, and keep the greens stable. So honestly, the traffic light system was amazing.
For me, my whiteboard was my best friend. Every time someone asked me, what do you recommend? I would say having a whiteboard, because what I would do, I'd write down what I knew and then I would look at my notes. Anything I missed out on, I would read over it, try and memorize it, and then get back to writing on the whiteboard. And you find that after a while, because you're used of rewriting it over time, you remember everything. And even what Simon said, the syllabus was really helpful. I would go through each point, write down a definition for every point and examples, and I wouldn't move on until I understood everything. And also your notes start as soon as you get taught the subject. Like if you learn a new syllabus point, go home, open up your Word document and write it up. That way, when it comes to your exams, you won't be spending hours on end writing your notes, because writing your notes is not an effective way to study. You need to memorize it, apply it to questions. And so that's what I did. The last couple of weeks before an exam was solely dedicated to answering practice exam questions and not writing our notes, because that was done during the year.
And yeah, like Hannah said, it's so crucial that your notes are written through the year, because like after every lesson, I'd come home, write my notes. But the most important part for study for me was practice papers.
Yeah.
Practice papers are so important. Like for economics, I didn't even have notes. Business, I didn't even have notes. I'd refer to my brief notes if like I was really stuck, but nothing else.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Coming in as a year 12 student, definitely the way I'm going. But one thing that a lot of the people in the school find is getting distracted by sports, procrastination, or just doing things that they're not meant to be doing. So how did you overcome these things? How did you go over these struggles with procrastination?
So I can definitely say during year 12, I would go to the gym like 4 to 5 times a week. And I remember there were times where I had an exam the next day and my parents were like, are you seriously going? But if you are confident that you know your content, you can stick to whatever sport you're doing. The number one thing I said is do not stop your other priorities or other whatever it may be, sports. If you're a part of a community, keep doing that. There's no point in stopping that, because you're going to burn out so easily. If you dedicate your time properly, you study throughout the year, I would not recommend stopping a sport, and just dedicate hours. A schedule is so important. That's how I was able to maintain time. If I didn't have a schedule, I was procrastinating a lot. But yeah, definitely sticking to a schedule. Don't stop your favorite hobbies, whatever it may be. You can still do that during year 12.
And I quickly might add that procrastination isn't a bad thing. You know, everyone experiences it. Like there are some days where you get home from school. I remember I just didn't want to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And my biggest advice is take that time for yourself. You don't want to burn out. You don't want to, stress yourself out for no reason. So my honest opinion is keep doing your sports, keep taking that time out, because you need it. Because once you feel rejuvenated and refreshed, when you come back to that desk, you're going to look at your exam paper in front of you or your past exam paper and your notes, and you're going to see them differently. You're going to be like, yeah, I want to do this. I've had my fun. It's time to lock in now.
Yeah.
So one thing that I seem to struggle with is actually making a routine, a calendar, a schedule to study. How did you guys used to make your schedules? On a website, app? Like, did you guys have specific ways of making a schedule?
I was pretty old school. I actually wrote it. So I had it legit printed on one of those little calendars from Kmart, those big sheets of papers, the activity booklets. And what I'd do is I'd put them in, so I'd have a general one throughout the year when I didn't have any exams or assessments. That would just be my study and I'd follow that. But however, when it came to exam time, I actually shifted it. I shifted my calendar to suit the HSC. So, Monday would be English paper 1 and paper 2. And then I'd keep moving in chronological order due to the priority of the exam in what I'm studying. So I don't know if it's the same for Hannah, but
Yeah, it was really similar. I just used a Word document. I made a table, and then on the y-axis going down, I just had the time. So I did it in 30-minute increments, so 7, 7:30, 10. And then going horizontally, it just had the days of the week. And then, it was split up into 30 minutes and just dedicating different priorities, as Simon said.
Yeah, so us Year 12s are coming into trials and HSC very, very shortly. So what's the main advice you would give to people who feel anxious about the exams, people that get scared about exams coming up? What advice would you give?
I would say it is not worth stressing over. If you stress and you're anxious, you're not going to enjoy the process. I can definitely say for me, Year 12 was one of the best years of my life. Yeah. Honestly, it was so much fun. And if you study, you're not going to be stressed. Everything is as hard as you make it. If you study, you prepare yourself, you do your best, that's it. You can't put pressure on yourself. And trials is the time where you're going to learn. You're going to see what you did wrong, see what you did right, see what you're going to continue. So just do practice papers, time yourself. That will get you used of exam conditions. And I'll admit, obviously, the day before an exam or 10 minutes before the exam started, I was still anxious. So it's normal, but just know that it's not the end or be all. It's trials for a reason. You're going to practice and just study and do your best. That's the main thing.
So now that you've overcome the HSC, do you have a career or more academic goals for your future?
of course, I never stop writing my goals. So I'm currently at Macquarie University studying a double degree, business and law. And I eventually want to be a solicitor, but I can never settle for just what I can do. I want to eventually take the bar. I want to become a barrister, and I want to eventually become a partner of a firm. I just want to represent people, and to be honest, I'm very excited for this new chapter of my life.
What about you, Hannah?
So I'm currently studying occupational therapy. One of my biggest passions is helping people. So once I finish my degree, I'd love to open up my own practice. And I've always wanted to travel. My goal is to travel the world. And one of my biggest dreams is to go to third world or developing countries and be able to use those skills that I learned in uni to people that need the help. So that would be one of my biggest goals. If I can travel, help those people in need and the misfortunate. But yeah.
And that's all we got time for today. Thank you, Hannah and Simon, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having us both. We're really grateful to have this opportunity provided to us. So thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe to our new MCHF College YouTube for our future podcast releases.